Hi, this is Derrex Brady, and you listen to the FSF podcast.
The show featuring jokes your parents would approve of but never understand.
Our show is brought to you by our charity sponsor, the Red Shirt Widows and Orphans Fund, which supports the Wish Upon a Teen Foundation that helps out sick kids when they need it most. And just imagine the comfort you'll give Red Shirt crewman number 616. He'll know that when he puts on the red shirt and joins the fight, that he didn't leave his family destitute and without hope, because the Red Shirt Widows and Orphan Fund has his back, and what's left of his phaser. And now, a word from our show sponsor, Level Up Saber. Their link can be found in the show notes.
All right, so our guest today is a rising star in the TV and film world with a hit show on the Bounce TV network called Johnson. Now, this show has been well received by both critics and fans alike, so we are very excited to talk to one of Michigan's own, Derrex Brady. Welcome to the show, Derrex.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, Tim, Kathleen. Thank you.
Yeah, we're excited. Anytime we get to chat to somebody from the Mitten State, we're always excited.
Right?
Hey, yeah. Although my family's like, if you don't get back here in a couple of years, we're not going to count that you were from here. So I got to make it happen.
They're not going to claim it. Oh man,
got to get your mitten cred back. So,
Yeah.
So the entire FSF crew is from this great Mitten State of Michigan. Kathleen and her husband are from the east side of the state, over by Lake Huron. Our buddy Nick, who is not able to be here with us tonight, he's our landlocked curmudgeon in the middle of the state. He's going to love that, by the way. And I am on the west side of the state, just 40 minutes north of your birth town, Grand Rapids.
Okay.
So here's what because I was looking through some different stuff. We like to call it research. Other people would call it stalking. But we were checking out different information about you on the interwebs. And I was looking at all these different things, and one of the stories was, about some of the things that you did or your family did with the store and all that kind of stuff, the little corner store. But I was wondering, what was your favorite memory about growing up in Michigan, and why is it always better than that state to the south of us?
Wow, that's funny. I guess, my favorite memories with my family. Like, we all get together. Everybody's eating, full, laughing, joking. Someone's gonna start dancing, or someone's gonna start singing or doing something. I think having those family memories are fun. Telling stories and hearing about some of my uncles and aunts, what they did when they were kids. I think back to that, and I was like, yeah, I think that would be my favorite memories. Always good when we all get together and eat, of course. Gotta have food. So that's what I remember. And then, I have another favorite memory is that during the summers, there was a place called Camp Paul, and we'd all go up to that, and we'd go swimming and play basketball, and they have all the recreation stuff, and that we'd be there all day. Like my mom was someone that was like, you got to check in like every 30 minutes, but it was too far. So, my grandmother would always be like, they're good. They're okay. But yeah, I have fun. That's also my favorite memory.
that's awesome. There is nothing like Michigan in the summer. It's either
Right.
the absolute most beautiful, perfect, gorgeous weather, or you feel like you're going to melt. There is no in between.
There's no in between. I mean, you go to tie your shoe and you just start sweating, just shirt soaked, got to change it. It's like, so.
That is today.
Oh, you guys are feeling it.
Oh,
We
yeah.
are.
Yeah.
We are.
We were
We are
over
in
90% humidity today. It was, yeah.
And
Yeah, I don't feel bad not being there today, so I get it.
No.
and it's funny is it's the 90% humidity, but also technically we're in near drought conditions because we haven't had a solid rain, but then it's
Wow.
90 degrees. So your grass is crispy, but you feel like you're sweating, just breathing. And ugh.
That's tough.
The last couple days here on the west side of the state, we had 99, 98, and then 99% humidity. So when you walk outside with 90-degree temperatures, it's like you're stepping into a really crappy shower.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Out here it's hot, but it's not. We don't have all the humidity though.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And they always try to tell you that it's not the heat, it's the humidity. It's such a Michigander saying of the it's not the heat, it's the humidity that does you in, but it's true.
Which bullcrap? It's both of them.
It's the combo. It's the combo.
It gets you every time.
So in my research, I found an article about 10 things that you don't know about Derrex Brady. You sent it to me. It was research.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay.
So in this article, it mentioned a few of your favorite movies, including Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, hands down.
Right?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I can watch it. There's no way if it comes on, there's no way I could change the channel. And I just watch it because you're still going to find things out of it. So I love it. Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Oh, for sure. So I'm going to say it before Tim gets a chance. Tim compares Star Wars to his marriage frequently, that it is there for him in sickness and in health, and till death does he part. Like,
that's not how I say it. You just screwed it up. Thanks a lot.
Well, close enough.
You're going to quote me right.
I'm taking artistic credit. So
what's the quote? I'm curious now.
I always say it's in sickness and in health, and in good times and in bad.
Okay.
Oh, right. So sorry, not till death do you part, because when you die, you're going to have them cremate your movies with you, right? So that you're still not parted from them.
Hell yeah, they're going with me. I got them suckers on Blu-ray for a reason, baby.
I'm so mad at myself because when I was a kid, I had the Han Solo gun, which is hard to find. I mean, you can find it now, but I had it. And when I was a kid in 5th grade, like our house caught on fire, so it burned up. But man, I still think about that gun. I'm like, that was like, it was the coolest. I had the saber, but not many people had the Han Solo gun.
Right.
So
right.
yeah, that was special.
So you've been a Star Wars fan for a long time then.
Forever.
Because it's the best. So are you a fan of all things Star Wars? All of the movies? Or it's okay if you say that you don't like the sequel trilogy. That's fine.
I appreciate them. I will go on record saying I appreciate them. Right? Like I saw them all. So fair. I appreciate them. But there's just nothing like the Star Wars Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I will say Revenge of the Sith was close for me. That was close for me. That was kind of like back in the lane. But yeah.
So then what are your thoughts on the new shows?
I like the Obi-Wan. The Boba Fett, I mean the finale, okay. But I was a little it didn't keep me in. Although I watched them, but it didn't keep me in. But the Obi-Wan Kenobi, I really enjoyed it. And I like the Mandalorian, of course.
And I feel like Book of Boba Fett was really just like a half chapter of Mandalorian. Like I feel like it was a pre-Mandalorian season, but
yeah,
I am excited to see where they go from here with it. Like if that's all of the Boba Fett that we get, then sure, we got more Boba Fett. That's cool.
Right.
But what's next?
We're going to see Boba and Fennec Shand in The Mandalorian, I'm sure. And I think you're going to see Boba returning to his butt-kicking ways, because at the end of the season there, he looks at Fennec and says, maybe this life isn't for us.
Right.
Oh, wow. You got it down. Okay, Tim, I see.
And I'm almost feeling like, and this is probably completely wrong and I'm going to get laughed at, and that's totally fine. With Mandalorian, how the relationship between Din Djarin and Grogu has become that father-son relationship. I almost feel like we're going to get like Grandpa Boba Fett. And I love that idea. Like, I feel like it's going to, that Boba and Mando are going to team up a little bit more, and they're both going to help train our dear little Grogu.
I like that. I like that idea. I'd watch that.
It could happen.
And like my husband has this theory that all of the shows like Mandalorian and Boba Fett are actually leading up to Grogu's story, that he's really the main character of all of this, is where Grogu is going and what Grogu does next. And he's got some elaborate theories on Grogu becoming King of Mandalore, which I would watch.
John has theories. I'm shocked and surprised.
Oh, I know, right?
Do you think that Luke Skywalker will be more part of it since what we saw?
No. I don't think so.
You think that's...
I think we had the cameos that we had, and I think you'll see him show up once or twice more.
Okay.
But I
But
don't
I
think
think
you'll see
because
anything sustained.
Grogu went to the way of the Mandalorians and not to the way of the Jedi,
Right.
that we're kind of done with Luke. But I don't
Okay.
feel like we're necessarily done with Ahsoka. Like,
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
but
Okay.
that's because Ahsoka always comes back.
What is your guys' favorite out of the three? Out of the originals, out of the Star Wars, Empire, and Return?
Empire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually,
Absolutely,
really
positively Empire.
see, it's a really, really close call for me because I usually say Return of the Jedi. Like,
Really?
yeah,
She really loves the knee-high murder bears.
I really, really, really love Ewoks. But also I think that was because I grew up watching the movies.
Right.
And so the original series was, the original trilogy was out long before I was born, but then I was the prequel generation. So like when the first three came out, I was the target audience for the first three.
Okay.
And playing off of going from Ewoks to Jar Jar, I feel like they captured me in with the cute. They went from Ewoks to Jar Jar to the Porgs to
Okay.
So it's your
Grogu.
fault.
They're gonna keep keeping me in with the cute stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
Find out that Rancors are really just giant pit bulls, and I'm locked
Pretty
in
much,
for
yeah.
life.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, honestly, Empire is not just my favorite Star Wars movie; it's my favorite movie of all time. So that's
It is.
Oh, really?
It is a
Yeah.
really, really good movie.
yeah. And
But
I
also-
agree with you wholeheartedly that Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, was right there. It's
Right?
it's pretty high up on my list of top Star Wars movies. Yeah.
I feel like that was more like a throwback. They kind of they went back. It was like, okay, they had the blueprint. I really enjoyed
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith.
And honestly, that whole lightsaber duel between Obi and Anakin at the end, and I mean, even though we knew what was going to happen, where it was going,
Right.
it was still awesome to watch it unfold. I remember
Yeah.
watching it at the movie theater. I'm not exactly quietest at the movie theaters. I'll be honest.
You're not quietest ever.
Nobody asked you. And but yeah, when Anakin got his legs cut off, I may have yelled a few things. But
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a really cool movie experience.
They did a great job.
Yeah.
I mean, did you yell when his helmet finally went on? Were you one of those?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a moment.
I was like, yes.
Yeah, that was a moment.
And
That was a moment.
that was one of the things when they announced that they were going to do the Obi-Wan series, and I'm like, we get Vader.
Yeah.
We get
yeah,
Vader.
I was glad that Hayden returned for that.
Yes,
too.
and he did so well.
Yeah, he
Redemption
did.
he needed. It was the redemption he needed.
He did
But-
do that.
I mean, I honestly, other than episodes 8 and 9, I love all of the movies. Like
Really?
8, I actually haven't watched all of 9 yet because I got mad and shut it off.
Okay.
We're gonna make her watch it.
Did you guys
days.
go into the Solo? Did you guys watch? I mean, of course you watched. What'd you guys think?
I liked Solo.
I hated it, but I enjoy it now. Here's the problem. My favorite all-time character in Star Wars is Han Solo.
Okay.
So I am. My son's middle name is Harrison. One of my son's middle name is
Oh,
Harrison.
wow.
Okay. So
Okay.
I'm full in on this, and so for me, I went in with a bit of a chip on my shoulder anyway, and it was nothing that Alden Ehrenreich did wrong. He's a fine actor. He did his job. He did what he was paid to do. It's just to me, it wasn't Harrison Ford, so it didn't count.
Yeah, I thought the casting on that, no disrespect to him, no diss to him, but I thought the cast, I didn't think he was the right for Han, but I actually still enjoyed it. I still liked it. And, but I did feel like that was off to me. I like Danny Glover as Lando. I bought it. And Woody Harrelson always shows up and does his thing, but yeah, the Han Solo character, that's such a big part of it that I was like, I just didn't see the correlation. There was really never a time where I thought there was a connection. Maybe when he was down in that, whatever that was with Chewie, that chemistry for a little bit, but other than that, I just didn't see it.
You know, the thing for me is that, like I said, it was mainly just it wasn't Harrison Ford thing, and so I kind of discredited a lot of the movie. But one of the things I love about doing this show is that some of the people we have on, they'll come and they'll give us their perspective on different things. And so I've had my perspective altered not only for that movie, but Episode 8 as well. I hated The Last Jedi. Actually, I love it now. And so I've had to learn to look at things in a slightly different way and look at the story in a different way, and it's really kind of helped me, you know, kind of change my perspective of how that movie. I haven't found a perspective that I like for Rise of Skywalker yet. I'm working on that one. I don't hate the movie, but it's not my favorite. There's a lot of small issues, and I still don't like the fact that they screwed over Finn. So I'm having a hard time with all of that. But
yeah, it's not one of my favorites.
So, and I liked 8, but I feel like I was not in the best mindset when I saw 8 to make a solid decision about the movie.
Okay.
Because that one came out in 2017, so I would have seen it January of 2018. So I was newly pregnant.
Oh, okay.
I was not in the best of mind places at that point. So having it be Carrie Fisher's last movie, and I got a little emotional about it being the last time we saw Princess Leia, because Princess Leia is my favorite.
Right.
But and then with Episode 9, I haven't actually seen it because I've been raising a tiny person that I have trouble sitting still for a movie. And
right.
But I loved Rogue One. Rogue One was the best. Like,
there you go.
As independent and weird and an offshoot as it was a lot of fun.
Wow. That's funny that you saw that. That was Empire was one of my favorites. That's true. I had to put that in there.
Hey, you know what though? It was I'm like, hey, he's a Star Wars fan. We can talk Star Wars. We could talk Star Wars all day, as I have 4 Star Wars Funkos over there. Tim's got like 50 behind him.
So, well, before we go on any more of a Star Wars tangent, because trust me, that could be a thing we could just, let's get back to.
I didn't
let's
even
get
get
back
my
to you,
lightsaber
Derrex.
out yet. I could have.
Well, you could have. That's true. But let's get back to Derrex here, and let's talk a little bit more about you, okay?
Okay.
So I love origin stories. She loves origin stories. We're nerds. It's great fun. And you're obviously, as a Michigan man, that makes us a fan of you already.
All right.
But in the story of Derrex Brady, what were your influences in your early life that made you want to reach out to be an entertainer?
You know what's funny? When I think back, it was my mom. You know, there was 2 things that she did. One, we would always go to the movies and we'd see double features. Like back, remember that? Do you guys remember there used to be double features where you go and you pay it was a compromise of a fee. It was like in the middle of what it would be for 2 tickets or 1, and you get to see 2. And so we'd go and we'd watch them and we'd just hang out, and it's like some of my favorite times. Then some of my other times that wasn't favorite in the beginning, but always ended that way is, you know, I'd go outside, and sometimes there would be weekends where like my friends were either not home or left somewhere with their parents. And so I didn't have anyone to play with like I wanted. I'd be going in and out, just bored. And my mom would go, come here, just sit down and watch this with me. And I'd be so angry that I did not want to do that. And then by the end, I would love whatever the movie was and be asking her a million questions. So I think my introduction into storytelling and just watching these different fantasies and these different movies with all these different experiences is with my mom, and I have to credit her. And so there's no doubt that in watching these stories that I grew up to want to be part of telling stories. So yeah.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah. And in fact, in Muskegon, Michigan, at the Getty Street Drive-In, they still do double features. And so that's
okay.
Cool. Yeah. It's one of the last remaining drive. I call it a drive-through. It's a drive-in. Let's call it that. But yeah, one of the last remaining drive-ins that I know of, at least in Michigan anyway.
There's one in Clio.
Is there? Oh, okay.
I think there's one in Clio.
How funny. Yeah. You know, I remember going to see, and I can't believe my mom let me see the movie. Now that I think about it, I'm like, I don't know if I would have took my little one to that. I saw Lost Boys. at a double feature with my mom.
Oh,
It's
wow.
like she would let me go, and just I'm surprised that it didn't freak me out though. I really love it. It was one of my favorite movies as a kid, and I can't believe though, because now I would be like, there's a couple of movies that I've tried to play with for my kids, and I'm like, I don't remember it this way. Like I remember even was it Big Trouble in Little China with Kurt Russell?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I put that on. I was like, you guys are gonna love this. It was fun. I love this. It's all this different. And within 5 minutes of it, there was so many curse words. I was like, turn it off. I was like, hold on, time out. I was like,
Right.
I don't know how I missed that, but yeah, I don't remember that. But yeah, but that was my origin of just my whole intro into that.
Yeah, I can appreciate that, especially with your story there. May reminded me of when my daughter was about 3 or 4 years old. I decided I was going to sit down and watch Goonies with her.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, this is the same thing. This is so fun. You're going to love it. There's, there's like pirates and ships, and there's exploring. And a couple minutes in, I'm like, want to watch some Dora?
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, it's a little different than how we remember it.
Exactly.
I've actually had that a couple of times where I've gone to watch something and I will text my mom with me, why did you let me watch this?
Yeah.
She's like, because you were little and you didn't get the jokes. I'm like, oh, okay.
Pretty much. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Since 1982, Vital Signs and Graphics has been helping professionals with all their image, logo, and design needs. Perhaps you're looking for signs and banners, truck and trailer lettering, business cards, brochures, or other image and marketing aids. Vital Signs and Graphics in-house design studio has you covered. From logos to apparel, start to finish, Vital Signs and Graphics has everything you need to look and feel professional. Call Rick at 231-652-3300. He'll get you noticed.
Welcome back to the FSF Popcast.
Oh, goodness. So with having your mom be such a big influence and taking you to double features, and I love how big of an influence your mom has, because moms are the best. And I'm not just saying that because I am one, but moms are the best. So in all of those years of dreaming of being an entertainer, do you have a dream role that you're still reaching for?
I do. I don't know if I'll get there in time. I mean, I probably needed to do this maybe 5 years ago, and what it would take to get it done. But I wanted to do the Nicholas Brothers story. I wanted to be part of that. That was back in the 50s, all the tap dancing and all the stuff that they used to do. And I just always was fascinated with that, and Sammy Davis Jr. And so I would love to have done that. That, and then also Sam Cooke. I would love the opportunity to be able to play Sam Cooke. So those are the two stories I really would love to play. I don't know the flexibility. I mean, I definitely wouldn't be able to do the splits jumping from these huge brick-like stairs like the Nicholas Brothers, but I just love that whole story and of that era and that time of what they were doing and accomplishing. And the obstacles they overcame. And then I also love Sam Cooke, is one of the, most amazing entertainers ever. And so those are the two stories that I definitely would love to do.
That's awesome. Those are really cool stories to want to be part of too.
Thank you.
And honestly, I'm just looking at your facial structure and everything. I'm like imagining you without a goatee, and I'm like, you could pull off Sam Cooke.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. I've heard that. Yeah, I would love to do it. I mean, it's just a fascinating story. And then the way that he died is like, what? It's so tragic.
It's crazy.
And there's so many different perspectives on how he did and what happened with that and the shooting. And so I just think that he has an amazing story, the trajectory of it, and how he was accomplishing things, even with Muhammad Ali. A lot of people don't know how close they were. So I just think across the board, he was one of the first African-Americans that had their own record label. And then also Dick Clark was really huge in being a bridge for him. So that would be an amazing story to tell.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree. That would be fantastic.
I'd watch that.
I hope you get to make that happen, because I would, I'd be there.
100% support that. That would be amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
I'm a huge Sam Cooke fan, so to me that would be fantastic. So, all right, cool. All right, so Derrex, you also have some really great credits on your IMDb resume, as long as IMDb isn't lying, which we find sometimes it does, but that's a whole nother story. But you have
Really?
credits like,
So
yeah,
sometimes it's not telling the truth.
oh yeah, yeah,
We've had it be pretty wrong a couple of times.
Wow.
if you go back and you watch any number of our interviews, I'll be like, so according to IMDb, they're like, yeah, well, I was never on that show. All right, cool, moving on. And
Mine's pretty accurate.
good, I hope so.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're talking about.
Okay.
So you've got some really cool items on your resume, like NCIS, JAG, Boston Legal, and also your current show, Johnson, on the Bounce TV network. All the research I've done on that show, it's getting some amazing reviews.
Thank you.
People are comparing it to a modern day Cosby, just because of the impact that it has on the community, and how it's resonating inside of the community as well. But for those who aren't familiar with the show, can you please describe what the show is and why they should be looking forward to watching it?
Oh, sure. Well, the NCIS is not accurate. That's not right. No, I'm joking.
I'm like, figures. There's always one.
I'm joking. I had to do that, right? How am I going to let that go? How many opportunities we're going to have that? So
no, I love it. That's good stuff.
NCIS actually was amazing. Just a quick story about that is that
please.
One of my first gigs was Chicago Hope with Mark Harmon.
Right.
And when I went to go do NCIS, I'm walking up on the lot and I'm about to do it. And Mark Harmon goes, "Hey, Derrex." And I was like, this is like 7 years later. And I'm like, "You remember me?" And he's like, "Of course, I saw your name on the call sheet." And I was just blown away by that. I was like, this Mark Harmon is like, he is a real one. Like, he's really the guy you think he is. So that was pretty amazing. But yeah, for Johnson, I'm just really excited about, this show. I'm excited to be part of that show. I feel like we're really giving some authentic stories that are needed in the media as well as in TV. A lot of times when I'm watching TV, there's certain stereotypes that you kind of see often. And when I look to my left and right, when I look to my friends and my cousins and, it's not the guys that I really see. I see, entrepreneurs. I see fathers that are engaged with their kids, going to the baseball games and the football games. I see college graduates, from Michigan State and, Wolverines. I mean, I see all kind of different people. And so I feel like our show is bringing a balance, and it's showing that, wow, there's these men that are collectively different, but still have this unified, experience. And they all met in elementary school on the blacktop in alphabetical order and found out they had the same last name, Johnson, but no relation. And I always say they just went from friends to family to brothers. And so now, 25 years later, everyone's seeing how they navigate in life and how they encourage each other and lift each other up, and how they're kind of, going through these different obstacles of life as well as getting victories. And it's just an amazing show. I'm just so honored to be a part of it.
Excellent. Yeah, the reviews are fantastic, and one of the things that you mentioned there was one of the threads that I kept reading in the reviews was that it was breaking the mold on the stereotype that many people may have, and that you're seeing a different side presented in the media than what you're going to see in a lot of writers' rooms, which I think is fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, because, it's interesting, and you'll probably see this even with your own friends, but a lot of times on TV, when you see someone, it's like they're all like the same, like they all, are like kind of like the same kind of person. But when I look at my friends, it's like they're all different levels. And so that's another thing that I love about Johnson. It's like, here you have all these different personalities, these different guys. I played Jarvis Johnson, and I own my own brokerage. I have 35 employees, and I'm huge in real estate. And then you have Omar Johnson, who's played by Thomas Q. Jones, and he's a tech developer. And then you have Keith Johnson, who is an artist, and he's a photographer, and he's very artistic. And then you have Greg Johnson, who's just trying to find his way. you know, he's Ubering one day and he might be watching something else on another day. And so, but we're all best friends. We're all brothers, and we connect with each other. And so it's interesting to see. I feel like there's no way people are going to watch the show and not be able to relate in some way or fashion to these different characters. And the other thing that I love is that the women on our show, they absolutely have a voice. Like sometimes it could seem or be perceived because it's a male POV that it's like it's a woman bashing show or it's just talking about men, but it's absolutely not that. And it's coming from our perspective, but the women on the show really have a voice, and they're not just placeholders. They're, you know, encouraging us as well as challenging us, and how we resolve those issues we get to see on the show.
That's fantastic.
And I feel like that's actually a good portrayal of how those relationships should work. That yes, it's a male's perspective, but like you said, the women are involved. And I feel like that's something that legitimately gets blown to the side, and so many sitcoms that women are there for the jokes and that's it.
Yeah. On our show, you know, there's jokes and then there's also heat. I mean, and there's also like, well, how are we going to resolve this and how are we going to work that out? I mean, you see it on social media a lot. It's like a lot we're seeing is that, you know, that there's sometimes a divide in women's perspectives and men's perspectives. And so I feel like our show is contributing to kind of bridging the gap, making that a little smaller so we can really authentically see from each other's perspective and try to figure out from a perspective that we might not have had before watching the episode.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Awesome. So jumping from your show to something that I know is close to your heart, from what I understand, from what I've read, you and your wife are big advocates for nonprofit organizations.
Yeah.
Including the Young Warriors Project.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
Can you tell people about what the Young Warriors Project is and why that means so much to you?
Absolutely. Young Warriors, it's just a great project. It's for fatherless boys. A good friend of mine, Jason Hill, he started it. In fact, we're doing a story on a movie on his life that I'll talk about. Hopefully I can come back in another time and talk about that.
Definitely.
But, you know, he's this blonde-haired, blue-eyed kid that grew up in Akron, Ohio, and you know, some of the hardest streets, and how he even made it to school and back. It says how resourceful he is in itself. But he was in a dominant Black community and was able to, you know, create relationships and find bridges with people that not many might have been able to do. He's from an addicted mother. He's never met or seen his father. And so after, you know, finding his way to LA, he decided to create a nonprofit for fatherless boys, something that could have helped him when he was a kid. And he's helped so many kids and mentor them. He's taught them everything from, you know, taking them to field trips to go see USC football or see the Rams, or going to the beach, or, you know, showing them how to do a PowerPoint presentation. I mentor when I can. I remember years ago, we went to the Nestle organization, and we went there and they got to create their own kind of candy and see if Nestle would take it on the line.
Cool.
These are the things that he's doing through this program, and teaching them how to tie a tie or how to shake hands and make eye contact. And it's a program that I would have wanted when I was a kid. You know, my mom for many years was a single mom. And so it just always touched me. So I wanted to get involved. Years ago, there was a time that I had some connections with Yahoo. I worked at Yahoo years ago. And I remember I was able to get them to give them a huge grant because I was able to show them why this organization is so cool. So I've really been involved for years now with them. I love the organization. He's now partnered with the Hall of Fame, Eric Dickerson, most yards in a season, still hasn't been broken. And they do golf classics, invitationals. I think they've done 7 or 8 now. And so if anyone wants to learn more about it, they can go to youngwarriors.org, and they can learn a lot more about the organization and what they're doing and how they're truly helping different kids have experiences that they never would have had if it wasn't for them.
And that is amazing. That sounds like an absolutely, it's just that I almost want to cry. Like, that is so important to young boys to have that father figure, to have that person to look up to.
Absolutely
it is.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So speaking of young boys, I'll ask you a question, father to father. So I understand you have 4 young men that you're raising.
I have four. I have four of them. It never stops.
That's right. So I have three children myself. I have two boys and a girl.
Okay.
And so for me, I've always wanted to show them, um, you know, the right lessons and who to be, how to use your manners. I was raised with my mother's from the South, so I very much with yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. I hold open doors for people. Because you never know. My mom might be hiding behind something. You can't tell me she's not going to jump out and smack me upside my head because I didn't hold the door for somebody and say yes ma'am or no ma'am. It could happen.
She would do it.
She would too.
She's scary.
She is. I love her to death, but she's scary.
She's scary, yeah.
That's right. But for me, I've always wanted to make sure that I set the proper example and the lesson that the lessons path for my children. So for you, what is the biggest lesson that you want your children to learn from you, and what's your biggest sense of pride in all of this?
Man, I would say what defines you, what I try to teach my sons is that what defines them is not the things they accumulate or all the money they make, which is important and you need to make money. But what defines you is how you treat people when there's nothing you can gain from them. That's like a clear picture of who you are inside, how you treat people that you can gain nothing from. And that's what I tell my sons. And I really want that to be their takeaway. And if they can remember that, if they can keep that, then they're going to be okay. And they're going to be able to contribute to the society and make it better. And I take most pride in that my sons they're those, I remember my son's grandmother, Jared, my firstborn. And I remember his grandmother said to me one day, we were going to the mall and I just wanted to thank you because when we went to the mall, I was about to walk through the door and he said, wait, not yet. And he opened the door for her. And she was like, it's just so great to see these aspects and these things that you've instilled in them. And so my sons are really big about that. And chivalry is not dead in the Brady house, And so, we all make mistakes. I make mistakes. One of the things that I would tell my younger self that I get now is they don't have to get it right away, and trust that they hear you. And there'll be times when they put it into practice, but I always was like, you got to get it. Like, let's get it. And it's like, no, relax. It's okay. They'll get it. So as they've learned things, I've learned things, and we're both better for it.
That's a great answer. I love that.
Awesome.
Thank you.
It's similar to a lot of things I've told my own boys. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the things that I'm really grateful that my mother-in-law taught my husband was to be respectful. And the number of times that he's like bonked my hand away from things when I'm trying to open a door. And I'm like, I can open a door myself. He's like, you can, but you don't have to.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You absolutely can handle the door on your own. You could. Right. But yeah, I think it does something to men's hearts when they stay in that place of service, for their wife. It does something.
The one that gets me the most is if we'll be walking down the street and he moves to the outside so that he's on the street side.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm like, seriously? Like,
that's a flag on the play if it doesn't happen. That's
I know. It is. I mean, when we were dating, even he did that, and I kind of had that moment of the, ooh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big deal. You
just won yourself some gold stars, mister. Like, but he's still doing it. 7.5 years later, he's still making sure he's on the street side. And cool. Now he does it with our daughter, and it's even cuter.
Oh yeah. Look, you take a video of that and put it online. It's gonna get I don't know how many thousand hits. Good night. Yeah.
I know. And they say that the way that a father treats their daughter is the way that she's going to expect men to treat her. And I'm like, oh, nobody's ever gonna live up to that.
That's my goal.
Right?
Yeah, that's my goal. Right. Yeah.
Nobody's gonna live up to that. She is gonna have the highest standards for how she's supposed to be treated.
And as well she should.
As she should. Yeah.
All right. So Derrex,
I just want to say this other thing. The other thing too is, as I also teach my sons of how they need to behave and how they need to act, I also try to teach them on what they should receive and what they should look for. and that balance, and that's really important because that's gonna contribute to longevity in their relationships. So that's a big deal too.
That is
absolutely.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Right. So, like we said at the beginning, we're silly. We do some silly stuff. We do some serious stuff.
Okay.
Well, now it is time for me to go silly because I have been serious for far too long. I've already almost cried. We need to lighten the mood here a little bit.
Let's go.
You can answer this question as serious or as silly as you like. But if you were to write a book about your career so far, what would its title be and why?
Wow. What would that be? Man, I don't know. That's a good question. What would it be? What would it be? I don't know. You know,
Mark Harmon knew my name.
I would say mine would probably be a question. Why are you putting them in more movies? But yeah, put them in front. I don't know. I would something like that. Yeah.
There you go. Put them in front. Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Awesome.
All right, Derrex, we're at the stage of our show where we like to take our guests through a little bit of a quiz.
Okay.
It's a quiz about Derrex Brady.
Oh.
So we're gonna see how well you know your own career.
Okay, let's see.
So
let's see.
Now, of course, we're gonna see how well IMDb knows your career as well, because that's where we pulled all this stuff from. And again,
all right,
if they lie, well, then they suck. Anyway, we're gonna call this quiz "Name That Year." So what it is
oh man,
there's gonna be 4 questions, 4 different shows. We're gonna give you 3 possible years, and you have to tell us what year that show was released in. What year your appearance was released in. Now, out of the 4 questions, if you get 3 of those questions right, because we are nerds and we like silly things, we want to send you this book called Custodians of the Cosmos. Okay. So it's all about a young man who tried to enter something quite like Starfleet, but not like Starfleet for litigious reasons. And although he washed out, he did rejoin as a custodian to boldly clean up after those who had boldly just went. So, if you get 3 questions right, we're going to send you the book. If you get 2 or less questions right, we have a Facebook group of over 204,000 people, and it's just full of memes, all these different and fun things. So, if you get less than 2 correct, the fun sequence is we take your picture, we make a meme out of you, and we put it in the group.
All right, we got to work this out then. You got to get this right. We got to get it right. I don't want to be a meme.
But if you were a meme, it's actually, you have some pretty good company. If you're familiar with the show Phineas and Ferb and its creator Dan Povenmire, Dan Povenmire's a meme holder.
Okay, wow. So he didn't do
No, he failed his own quiz.
He failed his own quiz.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do well. Let's see.
All
right. So it is multiple choice. You do have a couple options there. All right. Here we go.
Question number 1, and remember, this is the year they were released.
Okay, not when I shot it, but when it was released.
Yep.
Yes.
The Nutty
number
Professor.
1. Got it. Okay, number 1.
The Nutty Professor. 1996, 1999, or 1990.
Oh, that's a tough one. 96.
That is correct.
Hey, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Yes.
All right, number 2.
All right.
JAG. Was that 2001, 2010, or 2004?
Oh, man. Let me get a drink of water and check my laptop.
Yeah, as long as your hands are both in frame, I don't care. Whatever.
Right. Give me those years one more time. Give me the years.
All right. 2001, 2010, or 2004?
It's either 2004 or 2010. It's one of those. Oh, man. I'm going to be mad at myself. 2010.
According to IMDb, it was 2004.
I knew it. Man. All right.
All right.
One and one.
All right.
Number 3, Boston Legal. Is that 2009, 2005 or 2012?
You guys are not fair with the close years. Give me those years again.
2009, 2005, or 2012?
2005.
That is correct.
Hey, okay. Let's
All right.
go.
2 and 1. All right, so this is either book or meme land. No pressure.
All right.
All right, the show Johnson, was it released in 2020, 2021, or 2022?
Okay. 2021.
Very good.
Hey,
All right. You won a book.
I get the book.
You
I'm
get
not
the
on
book.
the meme.
You're not a meme.
I received that. Yes, I like that. Thank you.
Awesome.
All right, so after we say our final goodbyes and we stop recording, hang out for just a second and we'll get some shipping information from you and we'll make sure we get that sent out to you, okay?
All right, cool. That's awesome. Thank you.
All right, Derrex, thank you so much for being on the show with us. Where can our viewers and our listeners go to find out more about you and the work you've got coming?
You know what? I communicate and connect all the time on Instagram or, Facebook or Twitter, really Instagram a lot, but Derrex Brady, Derrex Brady. They can find me that across all social media.
Awesome. Well, we will definitely link your socials.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we also want to remind everybody that subscribing is the single most important thing that you can do to ensure that we get more amazing guests like Derrex Brady here today, have these fun conversations and funny moments for you to listen to. So please subscribe. It helps us more than we can ever really tell you. And please go check out Derrex. You'll find the links down below on all of his socials, and he's got some great stuff coming up for you guys to be able to enjoy. Go check out Johnson. Also, if for whatever reason you are not happy with the content of our show today, please feel free to lodge a complaint with the head of our complaint department. That, of course, is the Nutty Professor or Professor Clump, whoever really answers. We're hoping for the real professor since he's not all that into himself and not always trying to make himself look good. Let's face it, if Skinny Clump answers, we're screwed. But once he's done dancing and telling all the jokes and before the potion wears off, he's probably going to try and do something against us or at least to get Miss Purdy's attention, whichever happens and whatever it takes.
Thanks again, Derrex.
Thank you so much. I mean, everybody can catch Johnson Sundays, 8, 7 Central on the West Coast. That's 5 p.m. on Bounce TV. And they can also stream it. There's an app they can download called Brown Sugar, and they can see the entire season 1. And they can also, if they just stream, the day after it airs on Sunday nights, they can always watch it, the current episode on the app.
Perfect. We'll make sure that gets in the link as well.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll put that in the notes as well. Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, guys. That's going to conclude us for the FSF Popcast. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody. And I'm going to try to see if Tim can give me, I want some of these things in the back. What is that? I want some of those.
Funko Pops.
Yeah. Let's figure that out.
I think you need to get a few more questions right for that.
We're going to go harder on the questions if that happens. All right. On behalf of the rest of the hosts of the FSF Popcast, we want to thank you for listening to this episode. If you'd like to be a guest on a future episode, please contact us by means of Twitter or Instagram using the handle @FSFPopcast, or go to www.fsfpopcast.com and click on the Contact Me link. Thanks again, and hope you enjoyed the episode. Copyright 2022 FSF Popcast. Reference to any specific product or entity mentioned on this podcast does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by FSF Popcast. The views expressed by the guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. If you have any questions about this disclaimer, please contact us via email at info@fsfpopcast.com. Original music by Jordan Michaels.